Welcome in to the Get Your Happy On Hour, featuring former Husker receiver Ricky Simmons.
Welcome to the Get Your Happy On Hour. I'm your host, Ricky C. Simmons. We're on 93.7 The Ticket. You know, I always start my show off by giving a big shout out to Matt Warner and Empire Fencing out there in Waverly, Nebraska. And you guys show a lot of love and a lot of support, and I appreciate that. You know, today I was really having this thought, and basically it led over to success after adversity. A lot of times when people have adversity, it really can set you back. And I always try to focus on the positive. That's just kind of my thing, but everybody has to find their own way to deal with adversity. But I'm really, really interested in finding out more about my guest tonight, because my guest has dealt with some adversity too. And it's not like adversity is gone for either one of us, because we both have dealt with it. But, you know, how we continually deal with it and be successful is very important. And that's the theme of the show tonight. So with no further ado, I got to welcome to the show, Terrell.
Hey, yes, sir, Rick. I appreciate you having me.
Well, man, you know, it means a lot to me that you took the time to come down here, because I understand everybody's busy. And, you know, I guess the thing I want to start off with, man, so that the audience gets a chance to know who you are, because we're going to get into a lot of things. But I just want to start off with, where you from?
Man, I'm from Omaha, Nebraska. You know, my name is, as Rick said, Terrell Taylor, but everybody calls me Relly or Relly Maine.
Relly Maine, that's what I call him, Relly Maine.
Yes, sir. You know, but that's good you asked me that, you know, where I'm from, because I was.
You know why I asked you that?
Yes, sir.
It's because I want everybody to know what I know.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, growing up in Omaha, what high school did you go to?
Well, that's why I was about to touch on.
So, well, let's go.
I was born in Omaha. My mother moved us to Council Bluffs when I was about 5. She said she did it around the time they started integrating the city. So it's like shipping us from, like, you know, Midtown or North Side out west, and just trying to integrate, you know. So she didn't want us to be shipped all over the city. So she moved us to Council Bluffs. That's where my mother, you know, my father's black, my mom's Mexican, by the way, but my mother, she grew up in Council Bluffs.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's where my Mexican side of the family came from. You know, they came from Mexico, and then they went to Marshalltown, Iowa. Then they, you know, came to Council Bluffs.
Okay.
But so I went to elementary, middle school, and high school there. But you know, coming up, I still would I wasn't always your model, you know, student and all that. So I would come across and the bridge and be, you know, and coming and visiting my friends or cousins at other schools. And, you know, I remember one time walking around one of my cousin's schools and getting sat in the classroom until the bell rung. I didn't even go to the school. The teacher done sat me in the classroom. But, you know, but back to adversity, you know, I guess we'll touch on why I was that way. But, you know, I grew up in a predominantly white area.
Gotcha.
But and then, you know, I'm being black and Mexican, you know, and then I would always come visit my family, you know, and my black side, my Mexican side. And I feel like it helped me be cultured. It helped me to be able to interact with different cultures and understand different cultures. And, you know, my mother's the only one that dealt with the black man. The rest of my aunts and uncles dealt with white folks. So I got cousins with blonde hair, blue eyes, but they Mexican. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, gotcha.
But yeah, so that coming up was just kind of different. You know, we can touch on that more. But
yeah. Well, you know, my thing is this. You know, I have the advantage over the audience. I mean, I know a lot more than the audience knows. But I want the audience to end up, by the end of this show, I want them to have a great idea of who you are and what you're about. And I guess the next thing I will say is this. It's well documented about my adversity, because I made every mistake that you can make, and then I tried to make them again. So I went through a lot of things, and it's all my fault.
Yeah.
See, and that's real big with me as well. Accountability. I'm not making excuses, because I don't have the typical story of a person that came from a bad background. You know, my parents they're both in heaven now, but my parents were both school teachers, master's degrees, very educated people with no addictions. So
Right.
all the stuff that I have managed to do in my lifetime, I have to take 100% credit for it because I didn't learn it at home.
Yeah.
I was in those streets and I was
Right.
in these places I ain't had no business being. And I definitely dealt with the consequences of those.
Yes, sir.
And I try to make that real clear as often as I can. And the reason why I do that is because I want everybody to understand something that's real important. There is no perfect human on this planet.
Correct.
Matter of fact, if you happen to find somebody that say they are perfect, my suggestion is you get them 50 feet and you do it RAT now, not right
Right now.
Never up.
Right now.
Get away
Yes,
from
sir.
them because they're not being straight with you.
Absolutely.
And what I want you to share, if you're comfortable with whatever you're comfortable with sharing, I'd like to know, when did adversity start for you?
Okay, so I'm thank you for asking that. So back to what I was saying. So my mother, Mexican, my dad black. Coming up, they were together, but then around elementary school, they got divorced, maybe second, third grade, and that's when I remember that's when I first got my first F, right?
Oh wow.
So, but my pops was more of a person, he was in and out of our lives, So then
Gotcha.
he was out of our lives, I was just telling someone the other day, I remember being in the car with my mom's and driving, chasing my dad down. He got another woman in the car, you know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
And just, and I've seen, him put hands on her, all that. So coming up, he was more like in the streets, and he battled with addiction.
Gotcha.
And I found out later on in life, he battled with addiction, and she was so busy trying to raise, at that time, it was just me and my brother, but then she had 2 more kids with my dad. I got 4 brothers, it's 4 of us, and we all got the same mom, same dad. Then I got 3 sisters from him with different women.
I got you.
So he battled with addiction, and then as we got older, sick of being broke, my mom, she working multiple jobs trying to raise us. And then she worked for the phone company, so they said she made too much money to get help from the state.
Oh wow.
So she got it for like maybe a month or 2, and I remember my brother and I being kind of embarrassed to go take the little stamps in and pay for the stuff. But then, but it, not no understanding that it really helped her at the time, But then, they snatched it away from her, so she had to work more jobs, and then we'd be at home on our own. And then I say about 12, 13, we had a cousin, rest in peace, he passed away, but he got out of prison, and he wasn't a positive mentor. He put the work in our hands.
Right. Okay.
And so we would carry that to school and do our thing and come home. And then that was the first time we tried smoking weed at 12, 13. And then we had on our Mexican, that was on my black side, on my Mexican side, my cousins drinking and stuff. And my mom always was strict, kept us away from all that.
Right.
But we would try to sneak and be drinking. So now 13, I remember coming home and my brother and one of our friends drinking, and I tried it. Next thing you know, now we drinking and smoking, 12, 13 years old,
Gotcha.
And then, so we would keep stuff from her. She was still strict. She raised us in the church. My mother became a Jehovah's Witness when we were like 5 or 6. So she raised us about God. She didn't teach us about the streets or nothing. She tried to keep us away from that. She was very strict, even to the point of, keep trying to not even let us have girlfriends, as we got older, But long story short, that kind of started my path to adversity. Sick of being broke. Next thing you know, I'm making my own money. I tell my kids, when I bought my first pair of Jordans, or when I had my first pair of Jordans, because I bought them, not because somebody else bought them for me.
You was out there hustling,
right? I had to get everything on my own. Funny story. I remember we used to go riding around nice houses when my parents was together, and I remember one time I told them, I was like, we were so broke. I said, I remember one time we drove to Kansas City. I said, and we rode by Worlds of Fun. We didn't even get to go in. They was like, there go Worlds of Fun right there. It was like, there go Worlds of Fun right there. I was like, dang, we don't even get to go, But they was just trying to do the best they could. And then, my pops, we really, there was a wedge in our relationship to where I didn't see him for a lot of years and didn't talk to him. And then he started coming back around when we were in high school. And, now so I don't.
The high school, did you do that in Omaha or?
No, that was it. So I went to Thomas Jefferson, but it was so bad. Like,
I was fighting in Council Bluffs?
Yes. So okay. Thomas Jefferson and Council Bluffs, and the minorities there was a handful of minorities, but most of them were related to us. You know what I'm saying? So, but I was in there, and we'd be getting into fights. I think I got suspended like I think like 11 times one time in like a semester, you know,
Wow.
just fighting kids, and to the point where they was like telling my mom, you know, your son's smart, but he only has this many credits, you know.
Yeah.
And so you know, girls will be liking us, and next thing you know, I'm fighting the dudes I don't even know why these dudes want to fight me, you know. But then next thing you know, I was in class and the teacher said, why don't you make up your cotton picking mind? You know what I'm saying? And that kind of threw me off. So then I started to understand, like, just coming up in Council Bluffs, you deal with racism off and on, you know? Yeah. So I've dealt with it. So then that, you know, I dealt with it in school. I dealt with it, you know, people making little jokes, side jokes, thinking it's funny, you know? But, so in high school, I really started to understand. I messed up and ended up leaving high school. I got my GED the same year I was supposed to graduate.
Oh, okay. I got you.
And didn't get college credits until later on in life, but we'll talk about that. But so in high school, I started perfecting my street stuff, you know, getting into selling weed. The next thing you know, I'm selling crack, you know, and then it just evolved from there to where I understood. I learned the game. I learned my cousin hooking me up wasn't the right person to be getting it from. And I'm Black and Mexican. So, you know, put two and two together. If you know anything about the streets, I'm going to talk to my Mexican side. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So then it evolved into that. I remember I was 19 years old and I bought my first car. It wasn't the best car, but it was a Ford Focus. But it wasn't a regular Ford Focus. They called it the Sony Limited Edition. So I was with my brother and his girl, and we in the street. You know, I was really in the streets. He was kind of doing things the right way still, but you know, but we was just trying to do what we could do to make it. Right, shout out to my brother, by the way. You know, I love him. You know, Trav, man, that's my bro. Shout out to all my brothers, Trav, Troy, and Trevin. You know, but and my sisters, Jasmine, Jalen, and Tyler. But anyways, he comes to me. When we were in high school, he comes to me, and I lost my train of thought.
So you got in the game?
Yeah, I got into the game a little better. And him and his girlfriend at the time went to look at cars, and they ended up getting a Mustang Roush, you know. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, man, I'm in the car that they was in, just in the back chilling. Next thing you know, the knock on the window, it's a car salesman. The car salesman came talking about, I heard you got some money in you. They don't put the man on me. He said, I heard you got some money. So I was like, man, I don't want no Ford, this and that. And next thing you know, the semi truck pulled up with these cars. He's like, man, something just pulled in. I think I got something for you. So I get out. I'm standing in the lobby area, but I hear something bumping, pulling in the garage, right? So they come grab me. It's a Ford Focus, but it's the different color, different wheels. It's all leather. So I ended up getting it, you know, and I remember even like old white folks like, man, what kind of car is that? That's not this when it first came out, you know. And,
yeah, right.
But I had bought a brand new car for 5 miles on it at 19, you know what I'm saying?
But it was all from hustling.
Yeah, we didn't even really work like that.
Well, let me ask you something else. When you got into the street thing, I understand that, you know, it has some benefits. I would like to know, when did this catch up to you?
All right, so we'll fast forward so from 19 to, you know, and if anybody tells you this, the street life is just, I was hustling, I was on, and that it's you know, straight up to the top, it's up and down, just like the stock market. And so 19, 20, 21, 20, all the way to 26, you know, I started having it my way, started getting more and more money. Next thing you know, I got 4 and 5 cars, rims, beats, and, you know, I'm buying clothes, doing everything, jewelry, all that, you know. And I remember I started messing with music at a young age, like probably 15, 16. I started going through my mom's records, listening to them at an even younger age, but started writing and freestyling about 15, 16. And at parties, I'd be rapping and freestyling. And then, you know, I remember when I was 26, we went and did a show with Yo Gotti in Dumas, Arkansas. You know, and this is before he was really blown up, but he was starting to gain some momentum. So they had him headline, they had us headlining through some mutual friends in Arkansas. So we went down there, did our thing, and on the way back, I remember celebrating New Year's down there in Arkansas because it was like December 28th, I think. So we just ended up staying down there, did New Year's, came back. I came back January 1st, and then January 2nd, I got bumped up. And then 2007, which I thought was going to be my year, was something that changed my life forever. Because even though I was in the streets doing things, I never got in trouble. My mother always raised us, think before you do stuff.
Right.
So
right.
I always was thinking, before I did stuff, and I didn't get in trouble. We did a lot of stuff, but we didn't get in trouble for a lot of things. And that was my first time ever in trouble, really, with the law, and serious trouble.
Well, see, I think the message that I want everybody to get from this is, that fast life, it starts off with a bang, and, and there are some ups and downs, but for the most part, there's a lot of ups, and you can gain some material things. But then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, there comes the consequences.
I'm glad you said that, Rick. So one time I was at a club in Omaha, and this lady came up to me. This is before I got in trouble, and I was probably in the heart of just getting to it. And she's like, "Man, I know who you are. You be across the street from my house." She said, "My son said he want to be just like you when he grow up." I was like, "Really?" And I feel like some things happen in life to like peak your your conscience, raise your conscience level without even. So when I look back, I'm like, that was me starting to think about how I'm looked at and viewed by people. And so I was like, "Is your son in school?" And she's like, "Yeah, he plays." And I was like, "Does he play sports?" She's like, "Yeah." So next time I was over there at my guy's house, I went and I saw her son. So I pulled him in the car because, he's seeing us pull up different cars, rims, jewelry, the clothes, all that, ladies, things. All that, the material things. Mm-hmm. And so I talked to him, he said he was in sports. He said he did good, this and that. And, I smoked and he said he smoked. So I'm not going to lie. Gave him a little weed, gave him a motivational speech, told him, look, and I know, your mom said you like all this stuff. I was like, man, what you see, and it might look glamorous, but there's a lot of ins and outs to this and a lot of things behind the scenes that you don't see. And I was like, man, you could be a doctor, a lawyer, anything, the spiel.
Right.
So, and he was like, I appreciate, gave him a little money. He got out. And as I was pulling off, it just dawned on me like, man, I'm telling this young guy, he can be a doctor, a lawyer, and everything, but it's not the doctor or lawyer coming to talk to him. It's the guy in the streets telling him he could be a doctor or lawyer. So that right there made me try to start to be more conscious of certain things, and then I got in trouble. There were so many people writing letters to the judge because I kept my family and my street stuff separated. At this time now I got 2 kids, one on the way at the time. And I wasn't doing right with the girl I was with, so I had I had 3 kids, one on the way with another girl where I was, just not living right. But
was busy.
And I didn't have a mentor. I didn't even have a healthy relationship to view how I should have a healthy relationship. I didn't have any model to go after that. So, and I'm trying to keep everything short too. But so I ended up getting in trouble.
Let's stay on that part.
Okay.
Because most people know about the game.
Right.
It's got different layers and levels, but the trouble.
Right. So people were writing me letters to the judge, and I had it so hidden because I was carrying myself in a different way. And this is how and this is how life works. So my partner that made probably at that time 90% of my beats, when I bond out of jail, before the feds, the feds came, but I bond out of jail or whatever. And he was like, I would go in his house and I look at a picture on his family picture that he lived with his mom at the time. He was a young cat. And there was a guy that arrested me right there on his picture. I was like, who was that? I was like, man, that's the dude that took me to the feds. He was like, it's my that's my uncle, that's my mom's brother. I was like, this is crazy. Now his mom's brother and this other guy were trying to get me to cooperate, which I didn't do. Here I get out, look at the picture, see him, and this guy was trying to he took me to the feds, but my friend's mom wrote a letter to the judge. This guy's sister, which I don't even think they put 2 and 2 there. Maybe my friend told him, wrote a letter to the judge like he's been a mentor to my son, because I made sure he stayed out of the streets. I made sure he graduated. I was like, I bought him the same keyboard Timberland had. I bought him the same keyboard Timberland.
I think where I'm going with this is, I understand the street life.
Yeah,
and a lot of the people that are listening, they don't.
Okay,
but I don't want them to think that the street life is
definitely not. So that's where I'm getting with the transition.
Right.
So, and I'm glad you brought me back to that. So, knowing all of this, people writing letters to judge, me living 2 lives, I started feeling like I was better than that, you know. So now I'm feeling down on myself, like, man, you better than this, you facing time, you know.
Right.
And so I ended up going, so I was facing, I think, 63 to 70 something months, you know. And I ended up while I was out on pretrial release, I took a outpatient drug program, you know, because they were saying, you at least tell them you try to get some time, you know. At that time I wasn't conscious of my actions, so I'm trying to play the game still.
Right.
So I tell them I'm using, I take that, and the judge really appreciated that. So he gave me the low end of my guideline, 63 months. Okay. So I go to sentencing, 63 months. My family's crying, this and that. They give me self-surrender. Boom, I go. Like they sent me a letter a month later, said you got to be here in Denver or Inglewood, Colorado. I get to on this date, and then a month later was when I turned myself in, you know. And then I went there. They said, we had you here, now we got you in Greenville. So I was in it's called a FDC, Federal Detention Center. And they got, you know, that's USP all the way down to low. So I'm seeing 5 guys fighting this. And that was like a shocker, a reality check. And when I was in there, this is what started shaping my transition. There was an older gentleman from Denver. He was my cellie. And, you know, we locked down. And I was just like, man, you know, he was like, what's wrong, youngster? I was like, man, I can't do nothing for my family in here. And he said, but you can. He said, I said, what do you mean? He said, you can use this time that you're away from your family to build yourself up and learn. And so that you can help them when you get out. So from that time in, I started reading. We would lock down, and he would be having me take notes on bonds, real estate, you know, business. And this is a guy, he said he used to ride around with $1 million in a briefcase. And I said, why would you ride around with $1 million in a briefcase in your trunk? He said, so nobody could tell me no. He done buy apartment complexes, everything, you know. But so I started my transition. While I was away, you know, they don't make you take school, but I started taking classes. I ended up getting college credits in prison. You know, I got my GED out here, but then I started taking my education serious, and my body, you know, I had got overweight. I didn't grow up overweight. I got heavy and everything. When I got out, they said I looked like a different person, you know, but I started taking all of these things serious, my body, my health. And then I did my time, you know. I got out to the halfway house July of what was it? So I went 2012, 21, I believe. Or no, 2012. My fault. I went in 2007. I got out July 2012, and then I went to I released from everything BOP the day after Thanksgiving 2012.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break right there.
Yes, sir.
We're going to come back. This is 93.7. The ticket is to get you happy on hour. Don't y'all go anywhere.
Yes, sir.
Come enjoy a show of the Midwest's best MMA fighters on Saturday, December 7th with Violence Fight League 2 at the Complex, the former location of Champions Fun Center. Fights are scheduled throughout the night, and if you haven't been before, now is the perfect time to go, with Nebraska football in between the regular season and a bowl game. Doors open at 6 p.m. with the first bout at 7 p.m. Learn more about the fighters and buy tickets at thecomplexlincoln.com.
Slay the holidays this year with a gift that'll really get them going. One that's built to win, like the new Honda CR-FR Motocrosser. One that's built for fun, like a Honda Mini Moto. Or one for each member of the family, like a Honda CR-F Trail Bike. At Rod's Power Sports, you'll find the motorcycle, ATV, or side-by-side they'll love. During the Honda Gifts That Go sales event, you can slay the streets in style with the Grom Mini Moto, slay the trails with the CR-F 50F, or pile into a Pioneer 1006 Deluxe Crew that can carry 6 elves over the fields and through the woods all year long. This year, don't just give any gift. Give the gift of outdoor adventure with a ride they'll never forget. Don't miss out. Head to Rod's Power Sports in Lincoln, Nebraska during the Honda Gifts That Go sales event. It's your chance to slay the holidays and your gift list. Dealer participation may vary. See dealer for complete program and safety details.
At Farm Bureau Financial Services, we strive to provide you with the right coverages for all your insurance needs by taking the time to meet with you and review what coverages best fit your needs. So whether you're in the market for home, auto, farm, business, life, or a combination of any of these coverages, we can help with making sure you, your family, or your business have the right coverage based on your individual needs. If you would like to review your insurance needs, please contact Ben Spurt with Farm Bureau Financial Services at 402-217-9945 or through email at ben.spurt@fbfs.com.
This is where it happens. Long hikes with friends, kayaking adventures with family, more horseback riding, zipline gliding, rock face climbing, hammock camping fun than you could ever imagine. And it's all outdoors, amongst the trees and across the prairie, here beneath Nebraska skies. Plan an outing today at yournebraskaadventure.com. Sponsored by Nebraska Game and Parks, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeyman electricians from $32.50 to $42.50 per hour with paid benefits. And if you're looking for a new career, they're hiring apprentices at $19.50 per hour with paid benefits. Call the office at 402-423-4497 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
General Fire and Safety has been keeping Lincoln businesses and commercial structures safe for more than 50 years. From a simple fire extinguisher to full fire suppression systems, Lincoln has trusted General Fire and Safety to provide top-of-the-line products, installation, and maintenance. If you're starting a new business in a brand new building, call on General Fire and Safety to help you plan a fire safety system that fits the specific needs of your business, employees, and customers. Call General Fire and Safety today at 402-261-0116.
Rosie Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road.
It's the holiday season. Time for work parties, friend get-togethers, family gatherings, which means lots of eating. Maybe you think you've perfected your holiday meals, and maybe you have no idea where to even start. Let's fix that right now. No holiday party is complete without Führer's cheese spread. It goes well with any type of cracker, pretzels, apples, chili, vegetables, chips, and of course, it's perfect to pair with wine or beer. Holiday meals aren't complete until Führer's cheese spread is on the table. Find your own container at your nearest local grocery store today. Wrestling fans, it's time to elevate your game, just like Simmons & Smith Construction does for your concrete needs. As your full-service concrete contractor, we deliver solid results every time. From singles to doubles, fighting for inside position to scrambling reversals, we know how to pin down quality and slam expectations. Simmons & Smith Construction, a proud sponsor of Takedown Tuesdays on 93.7 The Ticket, where Husker wrestlers bring you all the action. Don't stall. Simmons & Smith Construction is here to help you build a concrete foundation for the win. Check us out at www.stevensandsmith.com because stalling is a penalty and winning is the only option.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
You never think cancer will happen to you. I smoked for over 40 years. My doctor recommended that I get annual lung cancer screening. They were able to catch my cancer at stage 1. It's never too late to quit. Even if you're still smoking, you need to ask your doctor about annual lung cancer screening. Just 30 minutes a year could save your life.
Call the Nebraska Tobacco Quit Line, 1-800-QUIT-NOW, 1-800-784-8669. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize before participating in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the K&TK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeit. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
Back to the Get Your Happy On Hour, featuring former Husker receiver Ricky Simmons.
Welcome back to the Get Your Happy On Hour. I'm your host, Ricky C. Simmons. Hey, I tell you something, man. We learned quite a bit about the consequences of adversity in that first segment. This segment here, I want to focus a little bit more on the positive side of his life, because I call him Relly Man. His name is Terrell Taylor, but I'll be honest with you. This dude is a very successful guy. But I appreciate the fact that he was honest enough to be transparent with us, because sometimes when people go through trials and tribulations and have to deal with adversity and consequences, they're real quick to hide that when they get it behind them, because they don't want nobody to ever know that part about their life. So now you got out of prison, Terrell.
Yes,
what was your next move?
Man, I had to find my way, so of course you had to have a job. Got me a job. It wasn't, paying well because I'm a felon.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, I got to start my own business, and at the time I was working for Court Furniture. It's a Berkshire Hathaway company. Warren Buffett owns it. And so you learn how to move furniture. They do term leases on furniture, student housing, corporate housing, insurance housing. Long story short, I would go there, and then I started moving on the side after I left. After I leave work. So and then from there, I started, I ended up making it a real business. And then I started my moving company called Elite Movers. And that's when I met you. I got my office,
right,
and met Ricky Simmons. You know what I'm saying? And and that was a beautiful thing, because not having a mentor, you always been someone that was like a mentor to me, and always had positive things to say, and always pushed me to do even more and be greater. And so from there, I did that business, and nobody taught me business, so there was ups and downs. And then from as I started to get that going how I needed to go, I started I got an opportunity to start a home improvement business. So now, I have a moving company, and now, I've had a home improvement business for about a year now, and it's taken off even faster than the moving company.
Well, see, that right there is what I want my audience to really get.
Okay.
The thing is this guy went through a lot of stuff. And I guess the message I want people to understand is this: we all make mistakes, but just because we make mistakes don't mean we got to stay there. And you actually hearing from a person and seeing a person that went down the wrong road on his own accord and dealt with the consequences, whether it was incarceration or whatever. He done all of that. He came out of there. He realized that his situation wasn't the best because of his choices. And he just decided to do what Ricky C. Simmons did. He hired himself. And, when you work for yourself, one thing and I'm speaking for me now, my boss, his name is Ricky C. Simmons. He's the coolest boss I ever had.
Hey, man.
That dude is so cool. I know Rico probably don't agree with me on that, but that's okay. But I'll tell you one thing about my boss. This is a good example. It was like last year. We got a little snow. And I had some stuff I needed to do that day. But my boss, he looked out the window and said, "Yo, it's snowing. Take the day off." I love that dude.
Hey, man.
He's a good dude.
Hey, man, you know what? It is beautiful being your own boss, man.
Right,
and being a business owner is great, but there was also a couple other things that I had to get right when I got out. My relationship with my kids wasn't the best, because I thought buying them stuff was being a dad.
Right.
Man, I can't, thank God enough for how, the relationship all of us have. And then I got married. I have an awesome wife. We've been married almost 6 years now, or 6 years, almost 7. But we had a beautiful daughter together. You call her the boss, man.
Yeah, that's the boss, man.
Hey, man, you call her the boss, man. So, and life has just been, it's a really an example of how I did go through adversity, and then and I prayed on this, and now my life I feel like is an example of you can go through whatever. And I always tell people, if I can do it, you can do it.
Oh, absolutely.
If I can do it, you can. And especially if you ain't a felon. There's guys that I know that aren't felons, and I give them the same spiel as if they were a felon.
But the thing I like the most about what you're doing now is you're leading by example, versus telling a kid not to do something, but you're doing it.
Right.
Right. Now you're actually out here walking the walk.
Yes,
and see, I support stuff like that, because when you're walking the walk, that's productive is the way I choose to label it. It's not going to get the attention that negativity gets. When all that stuff you were sharing in the first segment, see, they they'll CNN to give you coverage on that.
Oh yeah. I could definitely write a Tubi movie. Or
Well, that's what I'm saying. but that's my whole point. We want to sensationalize and we want to glamorize all the stuff that gets you incarcerated or killed.
Right.
But when you're actually doing what you're doing now, you started a moving company, you started a home improvement company. The attention is not given to that like it was the negative.
Right.
And that's why, I select people and I ask people to come onto my show so that we can show success stories and feel-good stories that started off really bad, because there's some people out here that, may not have went through what we went through.
Right.
But, they need to see that everybody that goes down the wrong path are not lost causes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody has a story. Some are better, some are less. Some might have been through worse, some might have been through better. Right. But it's your story, your journey, and you have to live your journey. Right. But as two gentlemen sitting here that have been through adversity and take responsibility for our own actions.
Yeah, accountability is huge.
We're living examples of what you can definitely do with your life and more. I always tell people, I want you to do more than me. Right. Why not?
Well, let me ask you this. I know you've started your own companies. You got your moving company. You got your home improvement company. First question is, how do people reach out to you if they would like to have your service?
Okay, so I do have websites, Elite Movers, the number 4, the letter U.com for moving. And then for home improvement, it's Elite, the number 1, and then NE.com for home improvement. You can Google those, look them up on Facebook. But yeah, we do everything, and I always tell people, I'm not the cheapest, but we are the best,
Well, if it's cheap, you probably ain't going to get nothing really worse than anyway. I mean, that's my opinion. When I see cheap, I think, well, I'll probably get less.
Pay for what you get.
Yeah, right. So I got another question too.
Yes, sir.
This is something that everybody else don't know. I know you got some skills on the microphone.
Oh yeah, I do a little something.
That's what I'm trying to say right there.
Yeah, and I still, and people have asked me that too. What's up with the music, this and that? And I still have great contacts, even in LA. I got some stuff that I hadn't shared. My wife and I actually went to LA and shot a video with the DJ Flip in downtown Hollywood. Everything professional. I just haven't shared it yet because I've been so busy building my companies. But that's part of just also building your team. So I'm building my team up on the entertainment side as well.
Well, see, I mean, if nothing else y'all got from this, I want y'all to get this. There is never a reason to give up.
Ever.
Because the moment you give up, then you're pretty much done. But this young man that went through all this adversity, all this, and it's, I'm not making excuses for him because, he's like me. He owned it. He did it.
Yes, sir.
But you know what? Look what he's doing now. And that's where I like the focus to stay, because you may be down, but you're not knocked out. And I'm just proud of you.
Thank you.
And I want you to know that. I mean, and I want to say that publicly, because a lot of times when people are doing good things, we don't say nothing. We get real quiet. But the minute we do something bad, boy, we
everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, that travels real fast.
Yes, sir.
So what I'm gonna say to you is this, man. I'm proud of you. I want you to continue doing what you're doing. And if you get out of line, I'm gonna go talk to the boss.
Oh, I already know.
Because I know the boss gonna take care of things. See, the boss is a regulator.
Hey, you ain't lying. She tell you quick too, man. But I did want to touch on one thing. You said don't give up, and I wanted to ask you because I wanted to tell the viewers, there's gonna be times when you want to give up. So I'm sure. Right. Have you had times when you felt like you just wanted to give up, but you kept going? I
put it like this: I've only been at this a short period of time. I think 15 years to be exact, and my quit button broke.
Yes, sir.
I can't quit. I tried to quit a couple of times in my mind, but the button don't work. It's broke.
Man, it ain't in.
So quitting is not an option for me. I don't have a plan B. Plan A has to work. And, like the talks we used to have up at Modern Works.
Yes, sir.
I don't just talk about it. I be about it. You know, and my deal is this. Now, I'm not saying this for anybody else other than me. I know that I'm a recovering addict. So what I had to do is I had to change my life. I've said this before on my shows, and I'm going to say it again just to remind people. Cigarettes, I smoked for 35 years, along with marijuana. Cocaine, I smoked for 25 years. Prisons, 4 trips to prison. Treatment centers, 10 treatment centers, graduated 9 of them. And for the last 15 years, I haven't done no drugs, no cigarettes, no alcohol, no nothing. However, I got to be honest with y'all. I did splurge the other night. I had a Sprite. I was living on the edge.
Hey, man.
But my point I'm trying to make to you is I had to change, just like you had to change.
Yes, sir.
And see, I want people to understand something. We're not doing the hypocrite thing here, you know. And when I say hypocrite, we're not going to tell kids, hey, don't do this, don't do that. But then we're the first person that's doing it.
Right.
So that's the reason why I wanted you on the show, because I wanted you to share all that stuff. Because I want people to know. A lot of people think that, you know, well, I'm maybe a little worse than him. No, I'm the sickest person there is when it comes to addiction. And if I can figure it out, then there's a lot of hope for everyone else. And you're another great example. And I wanted someone on the show that has basically been to the bottom and has fought their way back. You know, there's this saying that I saw the other day. It said, you know why so many people in a recovery believe in God? And then at the bottom it says, because they've met the devil.
Whew.
And I feel like that's very real. And I want people to understand that just because you may have went down a bad path, that does not mean life's over. So never give up. And if you're like me, disconnect your quit button. Mine broke, so I don't got to fix mine. I'm good. But I would recommend that people disconnect the quit button, because it's real easy to quit. It's a much tougher thing to keep going. And this is what you have shown. And like I tell people all the time, I love to laugh, I love to joke, but I'm really not that nice when it comes to things that are gonna harm people.
Right.
When you're making bad choices and putting yourself in harm's way, or your family members in harm's way, I can't co-sign that. Right. You know, because I gotta sleep at night. And I mentor about 16 people right now. And that starts every morning at 3 a.m. I can't get up and check on all 16 of my mentees if I'm doing things that I ain't got to do.
You slipping and all that.
So, and that's why I'm encouraged by you, man. And I want you to know, I may be a mentor to you, but you're a mentor to me as well.
Well, I appreciate that.
And that's real talk.
We talked about that too.
Yeah, because see, that's what it has to be. It has to be a two-way street. It's not like Ricky got all the answers. No, I can learn I learn every day. And it's kind of like that card that I passed out, the one you took the picture of. You say,
yes, sir. I still got that. Yes, sir.
Well, on the back of that card, it says, learn from the mistakes of others. You can't live long enough to make them all yourself. And I know that to be true because I tried.
Right.
I tried to make them all.
Hey, you and me both. I feel like, and you know, I'm glad you touched on the addiction thing, because, you know, I like to tell people, just because like you battle with alcohol, you know, some people can drink and not have issues. Some people can't. My addiction was fast money, women, you know, different things. And so I had to learn to control them addictions and start, you know, because, you know, legal money ain't as fast as the other money, but it's way better. It's way better. I have a clear conscience. Like you said, I can sleep at night.
Right. And ain't nobody you ain't got to look over your shoulder.
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, because, you know, the people ain't with them big black boots on, ain't come kicking on your door. We're going to take one more break, and we're going to come back and wrap the show up. This is 93.7. The ticket is to get you happy on out.
Yes, sir.
Come enjoy a show of the Midwest's best MMA fighters on Saturday, December 7th with Violence Fight League 2 at the Complex, the former location of Champions Fun Center. Fights are scheduled throughout the night, and if you haven't been before, now is the perfect time to go, with Nebraska football in between the regular season and a bowl game. Doors open at 6 p.m. with the first bout at 7 p.m. Learn more about the fighters and buy tickets at thecomplexlincoln.com.
Slay the holidays this year with a gift that'll really get them going. One that's built to win, like the new Honda CRF-R motocrosser. One that's built for fun, like a Honda Mini Moto. Or one for each member of the family, like a Honda CRF trail bike. At Rod's Power Sports, you'll find the motorcycle, ATV, or side-by-side they'll love. During the Honda Gifts That Go sales event, you can slay the streets in style with a Grom Mini Moto, slay the trails with the CRF 50F, or pile into a Pioneer 1006 Deluxe Crew that can carry 6 elves over the fields and through the woods all year long. This year, don't just give any gift. Give the gift of outdoor adventure with a ride they'll never forget. Don't miss out. Head to Rod's Power Sports in Lincoln, Nebraska during the Honda Gifts That Go sales event. It's your chance to slay the holidays and your gift list. Dealer participation may vary. See dealer for complete program and safety details.
At Farm Bureau Financial Services, we strive to provide you with the right coverages for all your insurance needs by taking the time to meet with you and review what coverages best fit your needs. So whether you're in the market for home, auto, farm, business, life, or a combination of any of these coverages, we can help with making sure you, your family, or your business have the right coverage based on your individual needs. If you would like to review your insurance needs, please contact Ben Spurt with Farm Bureau Financial Services at 402-217-9945 or through email at ben.spurt@fbfs.com.
This is where it happens. Long hikes with friends, kayaking adventures with family, more horseback riding, zipline gliding, rock face climbing, hammock camping fun than you could ever imagine. And it's all outdoors, amongst the trees and across the prairie, here beneath Nebraska skies. Plan an outing today at yournebraskaadventure.com. Sponsored by Nebraska Game and Parks, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeyman electricians from $32.50 to $42.50 per hour with paid benefits. And if you're looking for a new career, they're hiring apprentices at $19.50 per hour with paid benefits. Call the office at 402-423-4497 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
General Fire and Safety has been keeping Lincoln businesses and commercial structures safe for more than 50 years. From a simple fire extinguisher to full fire suppression systems, Lincoln has trusted General Fire and Safety to provide top-of-the-line products, installation, and maintenance. If you're starting a new business in a brand new building, call on General Fire and Safety to help you plan a fire safety system that fits the specific needs of your business, employees, and customers. Call General Fire and Safety today at 402-261-0116.
Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road.
It's the holiday season. Time for work parties, friend get-togethers, family gatherings, which means lots of eating. Maybe you think you've perfected your holiday meals, and maybe you have no idea where to even start. Let's fix that right now. No holiday party is complete without Führer's cheese spread. It goes well with any type of cracker, pretzels, apples, chili, vegetables, chips, and of course, it's perfect to pair with wine or beer. Holiday meals aren't complete until Führer's cheese spread is on the table. Find your own container at your nearest local grocery store today. Wrestling fans, it's time to elevate your game, just like Simmons and Smith Construction does for your concrete needs. As your full-service concrete contractor, we deliver solid results every time. From singles to doubles, fighting for inside position to scrambling reversals, we know how to pin down quality and slam expectations. Simmons and Smith Construction, a proud sponsor of Takedown Tuesdays on 93.7 The Ticket, where Husker wrestlers bring you all the action. Don't stall, Simmons and Smith Construction is here to help you build a concrete foundation for the win. Check us out at www.stevensandsmith.com because stalling is a penalty and winning is the only option.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday. You lost Wednesday. You're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
You never think.
Back to the Get Your Happy On Hour, featuring former Husker receiver Ricky Simmons.
And welcome back, man. I really, really want to say thank you to everybody that's tuned in to the Get You Happy On Hour. And I want to give a big shout out to 93.7 The Ticket for this opportunity. You know, man, I'll be honest with you. I appreciate your transparency. That's real important because, like I said, a lot of people, when they get a little clean time or get a little success and they've had to deal with some of the stuff that we've dealt with, they want to keep it a secret. But, you know, you're very brave and courageous to come out and just put yourself, basically, you done the Ricky C. Simmons. You just threw yourself up under the bus, you know.
Hey, you know what? It's my own fault, my own decisions. And you know what? It was my fault too that I came back.
Yeah, right. But see, like I say, when you throw yourself under the bus, there's some benefits to that, even though a lot of people don't agree with this. In my mind, there's benefits. And one of the benefits is you can go Google me you want to, but all you're going to do is find out what I already told you.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I mean? So
Yes,
it ain't like I don't care what people think. People going to think what they want.
Right.
But I admire people that have the courage to say, yeah, this is what I did. I dust myself off, and this is where I'm at now. So, I mean, I want you to know, man, that, you know, again, I've said it before, I got to say it again. Proud of you. I really am, man, because as men, we don't give each other props because that may make us seem less than. But, you know, I suffer from this disease, man. This disease is called high self-esteem. I love me some me. So it's easy for me to give other people props, man, because I think it's something that's very much needed and is lacking in our society because everybody wants you to do well, but they just don't want you to do better than them.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
You know why it's crazy?
Why is that?
Because if I'm hanging out with you and I want you to not do well, guess what? Birds of a feather flock together. So if I'm holding you down, I'm holding myself down. So can I push you up so we can get up? You know what I'm saying?
That's the reason why I'm so quick to give compliments.
I appreciate it.
And here's a true compliment, but he won't own up to this one, but I'm gonna do it anyway. His name is Rico.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and he's actually producing this show. Rico is, you know, it's Rico's world. We just living in it. And I tell him all the time, but he don't want to hear it. You know, he's a real humble, modest guy, but I know he's doing big things.
That's what's up. Shout out to Rico.
Big shout out to Rico.
Big shout out to Rico.
So,
man.
And when I grow up, I'm gonna be like Rico. He just don't know it yet. No, I like to have fun, man, because see, at the end of the day, life is so short and so unpredictable that a lot of times people don't realize that, you know, we're so busy chasing what we feel is important.
Right.
But time is probably one of the most important resources there is because it's the one resource you can't make more of.
At all. And I feel like wealthy people understand that. See, a lot of people want financial freedom, but wealthy people understand freedom of time. So they can be in Dubai or sipping on, you know, Sprite with the grenadine and the cherry on top. You know what I'm saying?
Like
but I'm saying they can be doing anything they want with their family and making money, but spending time.
Right.
Time, freedom of time is so valuable. And I feel like these days people fail to realize that they're so focused on the money that they don't understand time.
And sometimes when you're focused on the money, and I'm using this for an example, you forget how to treat people.
Whew.
You really do. You forget how to treat people. You treat people like they're less than, and then you want them to treat you with respect. Respect is earned. You know, I mean, I treat people the way I want to be treated, but I think the key to that is I don't expect it in return. So therefore, you can't let me down. You know?
Yes.
I mean, it doesn't make sense when I say it, but if you think about it, it makes sense. You know, like later on this evening, you're like, it doesn't make sense. Because a good example is that, say, for example, like I got this thing. It's a Southern thing, I call it, but I call it being a gentleman. I hold doors for females, you know. Or if I'm at a department store and I open the door, I mean, some people treat me like I work for that store.
Hey,
like
you know,
that's my job. Hold the door.
And you know what? That'd be the worst feeling. You do it at a gas station.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm definitely not tooting my own horn. But my wife is in the studio, and you can ask her. You know, even to this day, baby, you know, I still open the doors for her, you know, and I still even the car doors, you know. Like,
it's called being a gentleman.
She don't pump fuel, none of that. If I'm around, you know what I'm saying?
And see, and all those things, I I really admire those things because society as a whole doesn't put the emphasis on that.
Man.
I mean, and I see it all the time. Customer service skills. I see the drop off in that. I've went into convenience stores and the cashier looking at me like I'm inconveniencing them to spend my money.
And you at the convenience store.
Yeah, I'm like, come on. I mean, I'm the one saying, how you doing today?
How's there inconvenience in the convenience? That don't make no sense, man.
I tell you, we're living in some crazy times.
Yes, sir.
But the good thing is being humble and being able to receive compliments and give compliments is starting to be something that's very important to me, and it seems to be taking a hit in our society.
Whew.
That's just what I see.
Well, can I take the time to compliment you? Because
I
Rick,
appreciate
man,
that.
Hey, Rick, man, I do want to compliment Rick. Everyone don't know, man. I mean, you guys know a ton about Rick, but Rick does have a big heart. And one thing Rick's always allowed me to do, and you guys don't know this, is when I come across someone that battles with addiction or anything like that, Rick always answers the phone and allows me to connect him with them. And I'm not saying he does that for everybody, but that speaks volumes to me in our relationship because he goes out of his way to do that and even, help my own brother, with some of the things he was going with. So I just wanted to compliment you, Rick, for
thank you, young man.
For your time is valuable, and I appreciate you, extending that, those open arms and just being willing to help others. And I also wanted to thank you for always pushing me to be great, even when I be at Modern Work. And some days, like he said, our quit button's broke, but some days, he can see it and hear it in my voice. Like, hey, man, really, look, you're doing this, you're doing that. Hey, look, you can't react like you used to no more. And he just would speak life into me, and I really appreciate that. So I wanted to thank you publicly as well, Rick.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Well, hey, look, man, we about to wrap this show up, but I got to ask my final question, man. All the stuff you done been through in your lifetime and all the stuff that you got going on now with your businesses.
Yes, sir.
Man, how does really, man, Terrell Taylor get his happy on?
Oh, man, you want me to dance or you want me to tell you? No, so, one thing I'll do is I've been having Sunday dinners at my house with my kids and my family, man. I try to do it every Sunday, but that, traveling and all that stuff is great. But just spending time with family is just what really makes me happy, man.
That's what's up. Well, hey, listen, I want to thank you again for being my guest.
Thank you as well.
And I really want to say I end my show the same way every week, and today is no different. Every day you blessed to say it's just another day in paradise. And no matter what, you got to get your happy on.
Hey.
I'll see y'all next Sunday.
Yes, sir.